welcome to Zee Commodity Capsule. Most global commodities are largely range-bound today amid steady dollar and the constantly developing geopolitical story between US and Iran in particular. Let's start with gold prices, which are range-bound, hovering close to $5,200 an ounce on Thursday, buoyed by softer dollar and safe haven demand, which was fueled by uncertainty surrounding US tariff policy and the US-Iran talks, which are scheduled later in the day. We have seen bullion hitting nearly 3-week high on Tuesday. Currently, US gold futures for April delivery is trading close to $5,200 an ounce. We saw market is currently pricing in a 325 basis point rate cut from Federal Reserve this year, and meanwhile we have seen that there are many global banks which continue to be quite positive on gold even after having seen a nearly 65 to 70% returns coming from the yellow metal in the previous year. Bank of America sees a pathway for gold to hit $6,000 an ounce over the next 12-month period, while the bank sees white metal, that's silver, rising again above $100 an ounce this year. JP Morgan sees demand from central banks and investors this year, which will ultimately push the gold prices to $6,300 an ounce by the end of 2026. Silver, as I mentioned, is also holding close to $89 an ounce, staying near its highest level in almost a month, as US tariff uncertainties and geopolitical risks supported demand for safe haven. There's another commodity which you need to keep an eye on, which is lithium. China's lithium price surged on Thursday after Zimbabwe suspended raw mineral exports, sparking concerns over supply disruptions at a time when growing energy storage demand is projected to drive a boom in the market. We saw lithium carbonate contract on the Chinese futures exchange jumping by nearly 6% to 1,78,020 yuan a metric ton after having spiked more than 9% earlier in this session. Copper prices eased on Thursday after having touched near 2-week high in the previous session, with a lack of fresh catalysts and concerns over rising inventories, which is keeping red metal largely range bound. On LME, we have seen copper prices are hovering close to $13,300 a ton, happens to be close to 2 to 3 week high. Shanghai contract hit a 2-week high in the overnight trading session, close to 1,02,830 yuan. Rising copper stocks remained a focus for the industry. Copper sitting in the LME warehouse rose to nearly 2.5 lakh tons, which happens to be its highest since March 2025. Brent crude prices rose to stay steady above $71 a barrel on Thursday, halting a 3-day decline as investors prepared for a third round of US-Iran nuclear talks later in the day. We have seen that the gains were limited and capped because there was a sharp rise in US crude inventories, with EIA data showing a 16 million barrel built last week, the largest weekly increase since February 2023. Also, supply concerns were further reinforced as Saudi Arabia moved towards its highest crude exports in nearly 3 years, while Iran accelerated its tanker holdings. And last but not the least, Malaysian palm oil futures fell on Thursday, weighed by weakness in Dalian palm oil and Chicago soya oil prices and sluggish exports, while a firm ringgit added to its pressure. Soybean on CBOT, that's Chicago Board of Trade, is where you need to keep your eye on, because on Thursday we saw the commodity hitting its highest level in more than 3 months as brisk US domestic demand and expectations of renewed Chinese purchases underpin the market.